everyone, this is GFrom bringing you my 5th video game review of F-Zero for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Fasten your seatbelt, let's take a ride. This game has a story, but the game itself doesn't tell you. Instead there's a comic in the instruction manual that tells you the story of bounty hunter Captain Falcon, set in the year 2560, a time where humans and aliens lived together. Multi-billionaires who got rich by intergalactic trade were bored, so as a result the Grand Prix races with vehicles that could hover 1 foot above the track, called F-Zero, were born. And from here on it's not hard to understand what this game is about, is it? F-Zero is all about racing fast in your futuristic vehicle. There are 4 pilots to choose from, each with his own unique hovercraft. We have 3 humans, Captain Falcon and his Blue Falcon, Dr.Stewart and the Golden Fox, and Samurai Goro in the Fire Stingray. We also have 1 alien called Pico with the Wild Goose. Each one has a unique acceleration curve and grip on the track. The game has a total of 15 tracks divided into 3 leagues: Knight, Queen and King. The King League is of course the one with the hardest tracks. Beside that you can choose your difficulty level: beginner, standard or expert. Once you completed a league on expert, the master difficulty is unlocked. Now the races are really fast, with around 500 km/h. The object of the races is to beat the opponents while avoiding landmines and magnet fields that pull you off the track. You have a power meter, which means that you don't just have to race fast, but survive as well, since you lose power when hitting the track borders. Luckily you can regain your health near the starting line. Each race consists of 5 laps. You must complete each in a successively high place to avoid being disqualified. For every lap you complete you get a 4-second speed boost. You can however only save up 3 at a time. There's a point system as well, and if you get 10,000 you get an extra life. Besides the Grand Prix mode, there's a practice mode, where you can play 7 of the tracks against one of the other races if you want to. It's a racing game, so the controls are fairly simple to remember. With the B button you accelerate, with the Y button you use the brakes. Then we have the A button, which makes you use your speed boost, and the shoulder buttons that make getting around corners a heck of a lot easier. The controls are tight and it feels just right. Did I just rhyme? Whatever. I would go as far as calling the controls perfect. Yeah, I really would. No issues at all. When I saw this game the first time in the mid-90s, I thought it was one of the best looking games ever made. Look at all these colors, look at the tracks, look at the backgrounds. Even today I think this is one of the best looking games ever made. And if you keep in mind this is 16-bit, the early 90s, then it's even more impressive. I like the looks of every track, they're all unique, whether it's the Metropolis Mute City, the Waterworld Big Blue, or my personal favorite, Port Town. Does this look cool or what? The tracks themselves are designed to be challenging for the most part, and that's how it should be. And if you didn't notice, the game is in 3D! Well, I called it 3D back then, but in fact it only looks like it because of the so-called Mode 7. The animations look great, the vehicles look really cool, and the effects like the explosions and all the other stuff is terrific. When it comes to design for a racing game, it can't get much better than this, especially when you compare it to other races from back in the days. Wow. Just wow. This soundtrack is by far one of the most recognized soundtracks ever. Is there anyone out there that calls himself a gamer that doesn't know the Big Blue theme? Or Mute City? This game is so awesome, but when you can race to such mind-blowing, outstanding tracks, I think I'm in heaven. Imagine the adrenaline rush riding your bike on your way to work while listening to the F-Zero soundtrack. Feels like driving 500 km/h. There's absolutely no bad track on here, even the menu songs are memorable. The vehicles sound just like they should. If they will ever exist in real life, they should sound like this. So this game doesn't just look good, it sounds even better. F-Zero was one of the launch titles for the Super Nintendo in 1991, along with Super Mario World. It's well known for the use of Mode 7, a form of texture mapping which simulated 3D environments without processing any polygons at all. It consists of a single layer which is scaled and rotated around the vehicle. That's all there is to it. This wannabe 3D style, as I used to call it, was designed for the Super Nintendo to be represented by F-Zero. The game was praised by critics because of the graphics, because it's fast, because it's fluid, because of the music, and of course because it was innovative. This game even had a sequel called BSF-Zero, but it was only released in Japan. So unfair. So unfair. If you seriously want to win and just can't do it on the hard difficulty settings, maybe this will help. Whatever you do, don't use the speed boost at random. You'll probably do best if you use 3 in the last lap and 1 slightly before you get to the last lap, because no matter how good you are, there's always someone right behind you. So mess up once and your chance to win equals 0 if you're not that skilled. And don't use the speed boost in corners because you will bump into the walls and eventually bounce off the track. Yeah, I'll tell you about that one. What's the deal with this? I hated it back then and I still hate it today. I can't describe the anger that rises when this happens. Someone bumps into you, then you bump into the track borders and it never stops. How many times does this happen right before the finish line, making you lose a life because you don't make it? Too often. It would have been enough if you just lose power, but no, you get bounced all over the place. It doesn't make any sense. But there's in fact one thing that annoys me even more than this. The track White Land 2. First a little nitpicking. Why is this track right after White Land 1? Talk about variety. They could have used this in the King League instead of the Queen League, because it's the hardest stage in the whole game, I think. Why? Because of one stupid jump. With one of the slower vehicles, it's so damn hard to make it if you're not perfect and have high speed. But how could you when especially on a high difficulty setting the opponents are brutal as hell? I can't tell you how many times I lost all of my lives because of this freaking jump. And one more thing. This is a racing game, right? Then why is there no multiplayer? Would that be too much to ask for? This could have been the best racing game ever made, but no, you can only play alone. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard. Should stop watching nerd videos. Ass! No multiplayer, but one heck of a single player experience. This game is just so addicting. Even now, while watching my footage, I'm dragged into the game, making me want to play it once again. The sense of speed you get is sick, and the whole game just looks and sounds unique. The music is so good, I played a Super Smash Bros. Melee version of Big Blue on my last birthday party with 30 people. It was crazy! The difficulty is pretty much perfect. The footage you see is played on expert difficulty, so I can manage to beat every league on expert. The master difficulty, however, is a totally different story, but I'm motivated to beat it one day. Even when you curse at the TV screen like a nerd, you just can't give away that controller, because F-Zero is wicked addicting. I've never played a better racing game than this. I'm totally serious. This game is so much fun, even after nearly 2 decades. Even though this is not 100% perfect, it's still 100% addicting and even more fun to play. Back when my only 16-bit console was the Sega Mega Drive, I always went over to a friend's house to play some Super Nintendo. He just had a soccer game no one cared about, Super Mario World and F-Zero. While we all know Super Mario World is awesome, I always wanted to play the Golden Fox and F-Zero so bad. But the fact that there was no multiplayer turned him off a bit, so most of the time we ended up playing Mario. That's what I mean when I say this game should have a 2-player option. How could it not have? I still don't get it. But like I said a million times by now, when you finally accepted the fact, then you're up to one of the finest games in history. If you're a fan of racing games, man, even if you're not a fan of racing games, pick up F-Zero for the Super Nintendo. I don't know a single person who has played this game that doesn't say it's an instant classic. If I had to choose just one SNES game to play for the rest of my life, it would be F-Zero. That says it all, doesn't it? Go and get it, pick it up again, and go for a ride. You know it's gonna be awesome. So, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked my review and that you want to play F-Zero as bad as I want to do now. Feel free to rate, comment and subscribe. My next review will be Metal Slug for the Neo Geo. I'll see you later. Have a nice day.